I'm from, I just point to the logo on my chest and tell them, Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam hey, hit it up hard, hit it with a strike, from the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam Ego, Slam hey, you already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 399 of the Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show. Ben Fadden with you here. And also with you is Rob Bradford. He is the host of the Baseball Isn't Boring podcast, the Bradfo Show as well, writes and talks about the Red Sox for WEEI as well. I've been on his show. He's coming on my show now. Rob, thanks so much for coming on.
It's an absolute honor. It's great to see you. And talk about next level intro. I mean, holy mackerel! This is the intro that every single other podcast should aspire to. So,
well, right now it shouldn't be called Slam Diego. It should be called Strand Diego. That's how base runners. They're just getting stranded all over the place right now.
Is it? So, I mean, let's just jump right into it. Like we were just talking about. It is from my perspective, and I told you, I'm literally getting on a plane to check out the what's what in your fair city. It is baffling. Like, this is one of the, if we're going to do a power ranking of baffling things in baseball so far, and there's a lot of them, we were just doing our power rankings for the Baseballs and Boring episode for tomorrow. And the Padres, I think we've done 4 of them. The Padres cracked the first one. And that was only because of you think they should be good, right? But if you told me we're going to be 4 weeks into this thing and they would be on the outside looking in and be terrible offensively, and we were going down the list of names, like, you got to tell me, like, how is this possible? What is happening?
I mean, it feels like it's situationally. Like yesterday's game, I felt like sums it all up perfectly. I mean, there's bases loaded situations all over the place. Trent Grisham swinging out of his shoes with 2 outs, 2 strikes, just fastballs right down the middle and just swinging through them. Bogarts got off to a great start. He hasn't been doing so great. Tatis obviously was out for the first 20 games. Manny's now hurt, so we'll see if he even plays on Friday because he has a small fracture in his left hand. But even when he was on the field, he was not doing anything offensively, if we're going to base it off of what Manny has done previously in the past. Soto got off to a slow start. So it's not just one guy. It's like the whole lineup right now. Yesterday, they walked, I think, 9 times against the Royals, and the Royals suck. 9 times. And one of those guys scored. And they won the first game of the series against the Royals because Walker pitched his butt off, almost threw a no-hitter, and they capitalized, or I don't know about capitalized, if that's the right word, but they were handed runs by the Royals because their pitching staff, Brad Keller, threw way more balls than strikes, walking guys, hitting guys with the bases loaded. Yeah, they're just, when they're winning games, it's not like they're like convincing wins either. So yeah, it's really frustrating.
I feel like that you brought me on just so I could be basically the therapist in this. Lead you down the road. Down the road, Ben, where you're just like, okay, sit on the couch. Now I want you to rant. Although I'm sure that I'm not the only one that you've had that rant to. I'm sure that's been a constant stream for the last couple weeks.
Yesterday, I post a link that fans can come join if they want to. I had someone, they put a bet up with me yesterday that they didn't think this Padres team was going to go to get over 500. Like, they bet $50. Yeah, they're not going to get over 500 again this season. So some fans are totally hitting the panic button right now.
All right. So again, this is your podcast. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hijack it, but you got me thinking just because I want to know what's what. And I'll tell you what's going on with the Red Sox or whatever else you want. But I want you to give me, speaking of power rankings, give me the top 3 individuals that you're going to blame.
Okay, so I'm not going to blame coaches or anything like that because I think it's on the players. So I'm going to go with Manny. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I got to say that with him. After him, I can't go to like Grisham or Austin Nola, like those guys aren't star players. I'd probably go with Bogarts as of late. I want to go with the DH spot, but I'd probably go with Jake Cronenworth as 3. Like,
Okay.
I love Jake Cronenworth. He's my favorite player on the Padres, him and Musgrove, but it's been pretty bad. He homered yesterday, but it's been really bad with Jake Cronenworth. And he was an all-star back-to-back seasons, and he doesn't strike out a whole lot. And it feels like he's striking out a whole lot more than he usually is. I haven't looked at those numbers yet, but yeah, that's how I would see it. I mean, Nola, the catching position is just terrible right now. Luis Camposano, he got hurt. So now they have Brett Sullivan, who's a rookie. He is having to share time with Austin Nola, who's hitting like under 200 and striking out with the bases loaded. And we don't have any expectations, so I can't even get like pissed off about that. But yeah, it's not great.
How about I talked to Christian Vasquez, speaking of catchers. He said that like they were making it came down right to the end, the Padres and the Twins. And obviously Bogarts was making a big push for his buddy Vasquez. And he said, they both showed him a lot of love, but the Twins showed more love. In other words, money. So
yeah. Well,
but
Vasquez, I don't even think Vasquez is doing a whole lot better.
No, it's like we're talking incremental. So anyway, I took over. I apologize.
No, it was good. And
I'm used to being on the other side of this, so I apologize.
Right. No, I mean, yesterday I had like an hour and a half vent session after that Padres series loss, and then a little bit there. So right now you're seeing obviously the Padres underperforming. Do you see this continuing to happen?
With the Padres?
Yeah.
No. I think that this, and I get the frustration. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse in going into a season with the type of expectations where you not only had last year, but then you had everything you did in the offseason. There is nothing worse. And then to have the sad trombone of a start. But it's hard to see, man, but it is still early. It is super early. And are you going to catch the Dodgers? No. It's probably not going to happen. The Dodgers are too good. But we don't know what the Diamondbacks are. We don't know what, the rest of the national. The thing is that you look at the wild card. I checked this yesterday. I don't know if it's changed. The wild card in the National League is, if the season ended today, the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, and the Pirates.
Right.
So there's your hope.
Yeah, those teams don't. Yeah, those teams don't scare. They at least they shouldn't scare Padres fans.
Yeah, if they do scare you, then you got more problems than you thought, because you still have a really, really talented team, and Bogarts is going to be better. I've seen him go through these stretches before.
Yeah, because I was going to get to that, because I saw Trent starting the year hitting 308, 914 OPS, got on base 30 straight games. Then he's had an 11-game stretch in the first half of May, hitting like 159 with a 472 OPS. So he's been a streaky hitter, or because he's more like a consistent, kind of like Jay Cronenworth, consistent guy, not going to strike out a ton. He's going to put good at bats together.
Well, the biggest thing, he's going to hit if he's healthy. So the only question mark I would have with Bogarts is you have to make sure that wrist is healthy. And, the wrist, I think that they might have cropped up at the end of spring training. But this has been a thing for years now, the wrist. It comes and it goes. But that's the thing that could really derail his season. And usually I'm always wary with a player that talented and that good and that consistent has a downturn. Usually there's a reason, like an injury reason. And I don't know if anyone in San Diego has even murmured about this, or he said anything about it. He's not going to come out and say anything about it.
No.
But
I've seen him
that's the only concern I would have.
Yeah, I've seen him have like a wrist brace or something on. I think there was a play yesterday. Yeah. Someone tried to steal second, and you could see him. It didn't feel very good with his wrist. I forget what wrist it was, but yeah, maybe there's something there. But yeah, he's not the same guy that he was to start the year. but I'm not concerned long-term about him. Both teams, Padres, Red Sox, they have an off day, obviously, today. Are the Red Sox, so they're looking forward to this series, getting to see Bogey again and
Oh my goodness,
getting to see Don for those that have been there a while.
Between the two of them, this is, and how about let's throw in a little Michael Wacha, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this of all the games on the schedule, this one was this series was circled because number one, people like going to San Diego. It's an excuse to go to San Diego. Number two, it's Bogarts is that's the storyline. Even though it's funny because this is like inside media, so all these not everyone travels now, right? But you have more people trying to convince their organizations to travel for this series because because of Bogarts. Well, here's the reality. I've already talked to Bogarts twice since he was in the Padres uniform, right? I'm going there. Like, I don't even know what I'm going to ask him anymore. Like, and so, and the fact is that it's a weekend and the Celtics are in the middle of their thing. So, but still, I think that people love the idea of the Red Sox playing the Padres for all those reasons. And you mentioned Orsillo. It's funny because, Ben, I was talking to somebody, another writer, and obviously we measure everything now about paid views and everything. And we're talking about how some players, you can write about them and they don't get any paid views. It's bizarre. I wrote about Eduardo Rodriguez having a heart condition, and it didn't get read hardly at all. But Orsillo, we said, okay, who is the person that we've covered that gets the most traction when it comes to is good for business? Still, to this day, Don Orsillo. You write about Don Orsillo, it's going to be read. People really, really love him around here.
Yeah, and on social media, because I post a ton of game clips and stuff, and he's always using those videos and all that, and you see fans in their replies. I'm like, wow, there's a ton of Red Sox fans in here. Like every tweet that he does, and so it's like, man, he was loved there and still loved there. And Padres fans, I mean, we absolutely adore Don.
And
Don,
by the
Don
way,
and
good
Bud.
for him. Good for him. Never looked better. I saw lost a crap load of weight. I saw him in New York when the Padres were playing there after I've seen him in spring training. Looks great. Just saw him a picture today to hold up a fish, which is always like a staple. Looks great.
Yeah, he's getting a ton of that in, a ton of fishing in.
There you go.
Getting to the Red Sox, do you think that they have exceeded expectations to start the year? I've seen some good starts from Chris Sale, Jarren Duran with his start. I was listening to Carabas. He's thinking that Yoshida is a lock for the AL Rookie of the Year. How are you guys feeling over there?
Well, to answer your question, yeah, I think they have exceeded expectations. It's still a somewhat undefined team because the reality is that you're in last place.
Yeah.
You're now, if you're in the American League Central, as we sit here, you would be in first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it works. But overall, I think they've exceeded expectations. They had an 8-game win streak. And you can go through some of the things that they had to have happen that had to work. Chris Sale is pitching like the old Chris Sale for the last 3 starts. Yoshida, as you mentioned, absolutely. I don't know if I'll give it the lock that Jared's given him, but like in the Rookie of the Year conversation, no doubt about it. Jarren Duran, complete out of nowhere, considering he didn't even make the team out of spring training, and has been a revelation after Adam Duvall became Babe Ruth for 9 games and they got hurt. And I think that overall they have exceeded expectations. That said, there's still there's this unknown about this team. There's unknown. You're still sifting through. They just put Nick Pivetta in the bullpen. You're banking on Brian Bayo, a young pitcher. You're banking on James Paxton, who's pitched once now. You're banking on Tanner Houck being a good starter. Devers is obviously the constant there. But there's a lot of unknown. And the problem is that where they're going to land, we don't know if it's going to be as good as these other teams. I think that they're going to, for everybody who likes to bet out there, bet the over. You probably should have bet the over. I think it was like 74.5 wins. Bet the over. That's fine. But the problem is that you're going to go up against these other teams. You're going to have to compete with these other teams in the wild card. If they were in the National League, are they better? Even though the Pirates swept them, are they better than the Pirates, the Marlins, and the Diamondbacks? We'll see about the Diamondbacks. They get them coming up. But I would say, yeah, I mean, they can hang with them. Absolutely. But I guess what I'm saying in a long-winded way, it's just they are better than we thought they were going to be, but we still don't quite know exactly what they are.
Okay. And Alex Verdugo, how is he doing? Because I know he kind of came up lame a little bit on that double that he had.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal, and it better not be because he's had a good year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's and you know he talked about he's really evolved. Like I look at him as a completely different player, a player which honestly I didn't know if he was going to become. I thought he got in better shape this year. He has more of a voice. He called a players only meeting the other day, which he admitted I was a little nervous and I'd never done this before. He did it, so that shows that he's something. But just a good overall player, a guy who, when we talk about the Mookie trade, it was Verdugo, Connor Wong, and Jeter Downs. Jeter Downs has since departed us.
Yeah,
not the earth, but just the organization.
Yeah.
I believe he's up and down with the Nationals now. But you look at, I said, if this trade is going to be even considered anywhere near successful, Verdugo has to make an all-star team, and Connor Wong has to become a major league catcher. Both those things right now, as we sit here, are probably true. I think Alex Verdugo is going to make the all-star team, and Connor Wong has become one of the best defensive catchers, catch and throw guy in the major leagues, and he hits a home run every once in a while. So I think that it's right now, it's still, I'd rather have Mookie. I mean, let's not get this all.
Oh, he smashes the Padres.
Right. Yeah. But Verdugo is he's becoming an all-star player in my mind.
Yeah. Players only meetings. There's a theme there with these two teams. Red Sox had one there. Padres had one yesterday. The media was, I guess, closed. The locker room was closed longer than the cool down period, like 10, 15 minutes or so. And I guess there was a meeting in there about stop talking about stuff and just, go out and do it. I mean, that's what Bomel said after the Minnesota series. So really, it's like they have to talk to the media. So they have to talk. But at the end of the day, like the play just has to improve, especially offensively.
Yeah, and I talked about this after the Verdugo thing. Meetings are tough in baseball, man. Like this is the catch-all. Fans usually say you have to have a meeting first, and then when teams have meetings, because you have to make sure the timing is right, the message is right, and in baseball that's not easy. It's such a long season because what happens? This is the obvious answer. What happens if you have the meeting and then you lose? You've burnt that bullet. You can't have another meeting. It doesn't work. And if the message isn't right, I've seen it before where a team has actually been winning and they feel like things are spiraling a little bit.
Mm.
And guys are called out. Hey, we got to get things right, have a meeting, and then they start losing. And so it's just, you just have to really, really make sure, as hard as it is. And I don't know, like I'm sure the Padres felt, it was a good message, and I don't know how much they talked about it.
Right. Not a whole lot. Like Bomel, so he had probably that meeting. I mean, he called out the team publicly. He doesn't really do that to the media. He did that after the Minnesota series, but he did it going into the Dodger series at Dodger Stadium, and they get swept. Like if he was going to do it, maybe do it after the Dodger series, going into the Royals series,
Yeah. Well, I would say this, like I said, I've seen plenty of times where you burn that meeting bullet and it's bad because you don't have it again. And then also like the whole message is devalued instantly. But with the Verdugo thing the other day, it was like the perfect storm of success, which was you have an 8-game win streak. You lose to Atlanta, but then you beat Atlanta in a great game. So you beat one of the best teams. Now you still feel like you're riding that win streak. Then you come back home and you get swept by the Cardinals, the team with the worst record in the National League. Then you get beat like pretty bad by the Mariners. So now you're like, okay, you've lost 4 in a row. And so you have this meeting. And they come back, and not only do they win, but the first at bat, Verdugo's leading off, and his first at bat in the bottom of the first is a ground ball to Colton Wong. Wong bobbles it for a second. Verdugo's busting it down the line because that's what the Met meeting was about, right?
Yep.
Putting our head down, doing our best. And he beats it out. Yoshida triples, run. I mean, that is the perfect storm of success when it comes to a meeting. So anyway,
yeah,
there you go. And now, but you know what? They won a couple. But if you go into San Diego, they got San Diego, they got the Angels, and they got the Diamondbacks. 3 good teams. This is, to me, for the Red Sox, going to be their toughest test yet.
Where do you see the Red Sox finishing this year? Over 500, like you were talking about earlier, but like divisionally, do you think they have that chance at the wild card? The AL, it just feels like it's a better league, obviously, than the National League.
Yeah, so I definitely think they're going to finish over 500. I think that the thing is about this team, and this is a cliche, but I do think they're resilient. You've seen Justin Turner play a lot, right?
Yeah.
That guy's a good baseball player.
Yeah.
Like that, I didn't realize how good a baseball player he was. I've heard like plenty of players praise him and everything, but he's just a good baseball player. And he's also an impactful guy. Kenley Jansen has been an impactful guy for them. And I know he had a bump in the road the other day, but they've had some really, really good influential clubhouse guys that I love to see, because I think that it was going the other way, that you're prioritizing analytics over clubhouse intentions. So I think they're going to be better. Now, the Blue Jays, I think, are the most talented team in the American League. I think the Yankees are really, really talented. And by the way, the Orioles, we just had them as the 1 or 2 team in the power rankings the other day. You can pick them apart, but still really a good team by now.
Yeah.
So to leapfrog them, and we aren't even talking about the Houstons, the Rangers, and somebody's going to emerge. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, actually, I was thinking of the American League Central. Maybe nobody will emerge. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
that division's weak. I mean, the Twins, there's talent there. Sonny Gray's been pretty dang good this year. That I like their pitching, but the offense, I think, can leave a little bit to be desired. But the AL, it's deep. What's the pitching matchup that you're most looking forward to this weekend? We got Paxton Snell tomorrow, and then on Saturday, Sale Musgrove. That's the one for me. And then Sunday, Kluber, and then Waka.
Yeah, so I could give you storylines of each, right? But I agree with you. The second one, Sale and Musgrove, absolutely. Because I want to see if Sale can keep doing what he's doing, because it's kind of insane. He's sort of bounced back to the guy he used to be. We'll see, against a really good lineup. Or actually, sorry, not a good lineup, but a talented lineup.
Right.
But the first one was Paxton against Snell, right?
Yep.
To me, that's interesting because James Paxton was good first time pitching in 2 years. Can he be good again? For me, that's what I want to see. And if I had, how's Snell been pitching lately? I haven't looked.
Pretty good as of late. I mean, the first few starts, first 4 starts, I mean, it's first half Blake Snell. But since then, I mean, he's gotten through 6 innings and he's kept the Padres in the game. The pitching, it has not been the issue. It's been the offense. I mean, Waka's pitched well. Lugo had a terrible second inning the other day, but the Padres, they still could have won that game, even with Lugo allowing 5 runs in that inning. They just didn't do it.
Yeah. So to jump to the last one, the interesting thing about the Kluber Waka matchup is that both those guys represent. Chaim Bloom has had these guys in his time where you get the guys on a short-term deal and you hope for the best. You let them reestablish their market. Garrett Richards was one. Michael Waka was one. And now Corey Kluber's another. And so you look at that, and when I saw Waka a month or so ago, whenever they were in New York, I was surprised that he basically the Red Sox showed no interest in bringing him back because he was a good pitcher for them last year. And Kluber is that guy this year, but Kluber's just been he's so far from the old Corey Kluber. He just is. It's sort of these innocuous starts. He might keep a team in the game. Okay. But that the high end Corey Kluber, I think, is come and gone. But so if Michael Wacha comes out and pitches like he did, whew, man, he was a good pitcher for them last year. He can be a good pitcher.
Yeah, and I think did some people think that Wacha was like getting lucky last year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that some Red Sox people probably thought they did, but the thing with Wacha is that when you have an elite pitch like he does,
right,
and then you start figuring out the other stuff, that'll go a long, long way. I think
we saw the changeup this last outing. I mean, that really
it's crazy, right?
The fastball changeup, it makes the fastball look like it's 98.
The changeup is so good, and so yeah, I like so all of those have good storylines, and it'll be interesting because as much as the Padres offense has been up and down, the Red Sox statistically they're pretty good, but they have to sort of have a lot of things click, and they do have a couple guys. If Verdugo doesn't play, that changes the dynamic. You still are a little thin up the middle at shortstop, at second base. You don't have. This is a thing, Ben. It's like you never walked into that clubhouse in spring training and basically like, oh, they're the stars. I'm going to talk to the stars. These are the guys that we know that what they're going to do. And that's how it always had been with the Red Sox. And when I visited with the Padres, I'm like, that's how it was, man. Like, I like that's how it used to be. They're doing things a little bit different. So far, it's worked out okay. But like I said before, I think this road trip, this is going to be the fork in the road for them.
Yeah. All right. It's going to be a fun series. Padres, Red Sox. Can't wait. Rob Bradford, WEEI, Bradfo Show. Baseball isn't boring. I appreciate your time so much. He's got to hop on a plane and come here to San Diego. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate
what I got in my bag for you? I got a Padres Baseball Isn't Boring shirt for you.
Oh, there we go. Yep. I'm going Friday, Sunday, so I'll be there.
It will be hand delivered, my friend.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Again, everyone, that was Rob Bradford, episode 399, Talking Friars podcast and YouTube show, brought to you by Gaglione Bros, famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries. GaglioneBros.com is the website. Friars Road is their main location. It's available at Petco Park. All right, that is it. Thank you, everyone, for the time, and I'll talk to you all later. Go Padres.